and we would do our best, give them the best food we can, put our love into every dish, and then they would eat a bit, and then you feel the life come back into the room.
Whether it was your mom being a dietitian or the fact that your dad, when you were growing up and you would cook, would sit the family down together for meals, in what ways, if at all, do you think that influenced you professionally with food?
Well, I would say cooking for me, cooking for my family, cooking for my friends, has frankly been a gift for me.
How so?
I found it to be meditative. I found it to lower my anxiety. I also play guitar. Anyone who has social anxiety will understand. You put something between you and your people around you, like a guitar or a kitchen island. It actually manages my social anxiety a lot. So that part is really a gift for me. The gift is first and foremost a beautiful way for me to calm down at the end of the day, or at the beginning of the day. I cook at minimum 1 meal a day. I try to cook 2 meals a day. I love cooking for my family. I absolutely love it. But then the gift for my family or my friends is really beautiful. So if I cook, I made breakfast this morning with my daughter. We sit down, we eat our eggs together, and we say, in the morning, we'll say, what are we excited about today? And in the evening, we say, what are we grateful for today? And even if it's 15 minutes, it's the best part of the day.
So you're in New York. You enrolled at French Culinary Institute, which is now the International Culinary Center. What about that made it so brutal?
Oh yeah, I remember being screamed at by a chef who might be 5'4", 5'3" even, French chef. And I'm 6'5", and he's so close to me, and he's directing up at me, and the spittle is landing on my face, and I'm just taking it. And I kind of had this out-of-body experience. It's like, I'd already gone through the phases of, does he know who I am? I'm already been a very successful entrepreneur at that point, and that doesn't help at all. So that kind of thing. I just accepted the fact that they were here to break me down and build me up again. And I just had this out-of-body experience of, I just can't believe that this is how they teach people. In fact, when I would talk to the senior chefs about it, the head of the school, they would be like, oh, no, he's really nice. He likes you a lot. and they do this in the Army too. It's a way to break down your ego so that they can then really start you over. And when you leave the school, you are in their mold. And I'm not good at that. It's the same price as Harvard. It's like 50 grand to go to the school per year. And there's an 18 months program. And starts with 25 people. You don't get your money back. 6 people graduated.
And this was August of 2001.
2001.
Then the 9/11 terrorist attacks. How did you find out your mom volunteered your services?
Oh, so 9/11. So I lived at Chambers and Broadway. Woke up to the sounds of the plane hitting the building. And we're running up we escape. The whole thing. We get to Canal Street, we see this big white cloud coming. And people were coming out of it in cars, holding on to cars. It was like the car would be packed, and just people holding onto the sides of cars, getting out of the dust cloud, covered in white dust, and just, you just can't, I'm just so glad we were half a block from it. So if we had been in that block, we would have been, in that dust cloud, we would have been permanently damaged, I think. So all we saw was chaos and the white dust cloud. But the second one falling we saw from Union Square, so we had direct line of sight, see only one of them, and we saw it fall down, and that was just like reality breaking. It was just not possible. How is this possible? And so my mom's apartment was on 22nd Street, just above Union Square. And we were there with maybe 8 or 9 other people just sleeping on the floor for at least 2 weeks, I think. She got called to be a volunteer, and so we were in the apartment when she got called. And she was great. My mom's the best. She's our best cheerleader. And she said, look, I really appreciate the call. I'm a dietitian, I'm not a cook, but my son just graduated from cooking school, and he has a diploma and everything, and if you need a volunteer, he's available. So they said, yeah, sure, we'll give him a try. And I went down. I was just peeling potatoes for 16 hours a day for a couple of weeks, and then worked my way up to, do the pasta station, and worked my way up to the saute station. By the end of it, because it was 6 weeks long, and it was every day, and it was I think the best way to deal with the trauma, because everyone else was freaking out, and I had stuff to do. It was really great, beautiful experience. And I even drove. I got to a point where I was allowed to drive the ATVs, with all the radios and the whole thing. And we would take this beautiful food, put on the back of an ATV, and I would drive in the dark with the flashlights and everything. And we'd go to this gymnasium that had been reconfigured to serve the firefighters, take the food out of the cooler, beautiful food cooked by the best chefs in the world. We'd see these firefighters come in to the gymnasium. They'd have these big shells on, and they would take these dusty shells off, and they would just have this gray look in their face, and I'll never forget it. And we would do our best, give them the best food we can, put our love into every dish, and they would just sit across from each other. They wouldn't talk, and then they would eat a bit, and then you feel the life come back into the room. And then by the end of 45 minutes is what they had of break, they would have their life back in there. And we talked back to each other, and I just could feel the sense of community that these guys had. And they would put their shells back on, and they would go right back out into those piles of metal to save American lives. And I love this. This is the most beautiful feeling. So I was like, that's kind of when I said, I'm going to go do a restaurant. It's nothing like the tech companies. It didn't even make rational sense. It just was an emotional connection that I had to it. And that led me to do a restaurant.